Thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout. My name is Jennifer and I work with Groundbreakers, which is our tree planting program under Oakvillegreen, which is a non-profit environmental organization based here in Oakville, and we've been around for 10 years.
Well, Groundbreakers started in 2004 because at the time I was a newspaper editor and I kept getting phone calls from people who were complaining about trees being cut down in parks and ravines and not being replanted. So I called the town and I asked them why the trees were being cut down and not replanted, and they told me that they didn't have any money in their budget for tree planting. So they were planting trees along the side of roads because that was being paid for by development money, but there was no money in the town's budget at that time to do tree planting in parks and ravines.
So what we're going to try to do today is extend this wood lot that's behind us. So we're going to do a very dense planting in here.
So I just decided that was something I could do something about. And I started off by calling 12 of my friends and asking them if they would be willing to help me plant trees, and they said yes.
So we have 30 plus trees. They're all natives. There's sugar maples and oaks and some pines, tulip trees, which are an excellent tree for cleaning the air.
And then I called Evergreen Canada, which is a national organization that helps bring nature back to the cities. And I asked them if they would provide me with some expertise on native trees and if they would help me find funds to buy the trees, and they said yes.
Good. So then we're going to go through the tree planting and then we'll add the shrubs afterwards, and that should be a nice fill.
Yes. And then I called the town of Oakville and I said, okay, I have some volunteers who want to help plant trees. I have Evergreen who's willing to help me find funding and to provide some expertise. And so what I would like from you is some public land to plant on. And they said yes.
So you're going to maybe take a couple more digs to get the rest of the soil out, but it shouldn't be too bad in here digging wise.
And so since 2004, Groundbreakers, with the help of thousands of volunteers from around Oakville, has planted over 10,000 native trees and shrubs, almost exclusively on public land. We did a small non-public planting at the emergency shelter that they built about 4 years ago, but the rest has all been in Oakville parks, ravines, stormwater management ponds, and so that's quite an achievement, I think, over 6 years.
So you will note that there's about 4 or 5 types of shrubs. So you can take them and try to group them somewhat together of the same type in a general area.
Groundbreakers has been boosted by a Trillium fund, some Trillium funding that we got a few years ago, and we've had that Trillium funding for the past 3 years. That funding ends this December, so we'll be looking at other ways of continuing to be able to provide our tree planting to the town of Oakville, and that will be probably a combination of things, funding from other sources, but also as well we'll be looking to the community. It costs $15 to buy the trees or the shrubs. And that's what we'll be looking for. If people would like to make a contribution of $15 or any multiple of 15, because it's all volunteer and because our planters are volunteer, whatever money that we would get would go directly to the trees. And so if you gave us $60, you'd know that 4 trees or shrubs would be planted for that $60. So I think that's a direct benefit that people would appreciate.
We've got serviceberry, great. Let's do some honeysuckles in here.
Through the Trillium grant, we've been able to do what we call a full circle of tree initiatives. So we started off with the Groundbreaker tree planting program. Then we trained some of our members up as tree seed collectors. So they went to some of the important heritage trees in the community and they collected seed from them. That seed was then grown by them until it got to a stage where it could go to our foster tree parents. So we have volunteers around the community who are growing these seedlings, the tree seedlings in their backyard, until they're ready to be planted by our Groundbreaker tree plantings. So you can see how it's a cycle of tree initiatives that feed into each other and that also protect the local important heritage trees and protects the genetic diversity of our forests. So we're not planting monoculture trees from other places. We're planting trees that have developed naturally, evolved here over thousands of years to be perfectly suited for this environment. And we're making sure some of those important heritage trees continue. Just for an example, last year, for the first time in many, many years, the great white oak on Bronte Road outside of the regional building that people in this community fought so hard to save, a 260-year-old tree. we were able to gather seed from it. It was the first time it had dropped seed in years. We collected over 1,000 seeds. We have more than 500 of them at a tree nursery right now that are growing, and we have about 500 of them in various tree foster parents' yards around the community that are growing. And when they get to the size that they're ready to be planted, we will give some of them away. We will sell some of them as a fundraiser, and we will make sure that that important tree's genes continue to thrive around Oakville.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. We were done in only an hour and just over an hour, which is terrific. So if you can just take any of the materials, your gloves, your shovels, even some buckets, up to the front, I'd appreciate it. And by all means, take a brochure.